Summer barbecue might be getting more expensive. The price of beef is skyrocketing to a record high.
Meat prices have skyrocketed and they're getting out of control, guys. When we talk about $50, and look at that, it's $24 per pound.
7 of the most common meats in America are suddenly doubling in price, and it's happening right now. If you shop at Walmart, Costco, Kroger, or just about any grocery store, you've probably noticed it already. That pack of bacon that used to be $5, now it's $8. Your usual chicken breasts, nearly twice as much. This isn't speculation, and it's not happening slowly. The jump is hitting hard within just a few weeks. And here's the shocker. It's not inflation, not supply chain issues, not even droughts. The real reason is a fresh wave of tariffs reimposed by the Trump administration in 2025 on the global meat supply chain. Officially, it's being sold as protecting American farmers. In reality, it's hitting working Americans hardest, the very same people who believed these policies would make America stronger. Think about it. Ground beef, chicken breast, pork chops, bacon, steak. The things you grew up eating at your family table are quickly turning into a luxury item. Some cuts are up 40%, others over 100%. And that's just the beginning. If you've been cutting back on meat lately, you're not alone. Families everywhere are swapping steak nights for pasta nights, not by choice but by necessity. Your grocery bill isn't creeping up, it's sprinting. And as these tariffs ripple through the supply chain, the situation is going from bad to worse. Let's start with one of the biggest shockers, Kirkland ground beef at Costco. For millions of American households, that familiar red and white label was a lifesaver. Affordable, versatile, and enough to stretch across several meals. But now, what used to cost $35 to $40 for a 5-pound pack is pushing past $65 in many stores. That's not a small bump. That's a gut punch to anyone living paycheck to paycheck. And here's the truth nobody's talking about. These price spikes aren't temporary. Once tariffs sink into the system, they don't just reverse overnight. Even if you don't eat much meat, the ripple effect hits everything, from your takeout meals to school lunches to the cost of pet food. So buckle up. In this video, we're breaking down the 7 meats seeing the biggest price jumps and why, unless something changes fast, your grocery trips will never be the same again. Homemade tacos, spaghetti night, cheeseburgers fresh off the grill. There's a reason ground beef makes up nearly half of all beef consumption in the U.S., according to data from the Beef Checkoff program. It's the backbone of countless meals. So, what's really driving the sudden spike in prices? Some point to inflation or higher operational costs, but the truth goes deeper. In early 2025, the Trump administration reinstated and expanded tariffs on imported meat from Mexico, Canada, and Australia. These 3 countries have long been America's biggest suppliers of affordable ground beef. And it didn't stop at slapping on new import taxes. Those tariffs pushed foreign exporters to pivot to other markets, places where they wouldn't face steep duties. That means U.S. grocery shelves aren't just seeing less imported beef, they're seeing a supply shock. Here's the kicker, the U.S. can't simply ramp up domestic production to fill the gap. According to the USDA, America's cattle herd is now at its lowest level in nearly 70 years. Feed prices are high, ranchers are stretched thin, and drought conditions have already reduced output. As supply shrinks and costs climb, the first hit is landing right on consumers' wallets. Kirkland, Costco's trusted private label, hasn't escaped the spiral. To protect profit margins in an increasingly fragile supply chain, they've had no choice but to raise prices sharply. That's created an uncomfortable irony. A brand once known for reliability and affordability among working families is now a symbol of price volatility. What used to be an always in the fridge item is now making families second-guess every purchase. More households are turning to canned beans, instant noodles, or meatless recipes just to make ends meet. And it's leaving many people wondering, do you remember the last time you bought a pack of Kirkland ground beef for under $40? If it feels like one more thing slipping out of reach in today's economy, you're not imagining it. Millions are asking the same question. Why are regular Americans paying the price for a policy that was supposed to protect them? Number 2. Generic ground beef. Remember those early week dinners when a simple pack of store-brand ground beef from Walmart came to the rescue? It was the easiest choice. No chasing deals, no second thoughts. But in 2025, that quiet confidence is fading fast. The price tag is no longer a shrug, it's a shock. Number 2. Generic ground beef. The average price of store-brand ground beef hit a record $6.12 per pound in June, up from $5.47 just a year ago. On paper, that might look like a small bump, but at the checkout counter, it's enough to make even the most budget-friendly protein feel like a decision you have to stop and think about. And here's the thing, this isn't just another grocery item. According to major retail chains, generic ground beef makes up nearly 50% of all retail beef sold in America. When the most basic, no-frills choice suddenly requires a mental cost-benefit analysis, something's seriously wrong. So, what's pushing this plain, unbranded product into the spotlight of economic anxiety? It's not that the cows disappeared overnight. It's the weight of policy decisions closing in. In 2025, the U.S. cranked up import tariffs on beef from Mexico, Canada, and Australia. That disrupted supply chains that countless producers rely on, especially those who can't source entirely from within the U.S. Meanwhile, poultry sales are quietly carrying the meat industry. The Wall Street Journal reports chicken is still hovering around $4 per pound compared to over $6 for ground beef. That price gap is pushing more shoppers toward chicken, leaving generic beef sitting longer in the cold case. But here's the part no one really says out loud. This isn't just about dinner. It's about dignity. For decades, being able to buy ground beef without thinking twice was a quiet sign that you could take care of your family. When even that feels like a splurge, it hits somewhere deeper than your wallet. And the irony? These tariffs, meant to protect American ranchers, are shaking the trust of everyday consumers. Who's actually benefiting here? Are small-scale farmers selling more? Or are giant meat corporations cashing in while shoppers pay the difference? The answer isn't clear, but the reality is, millions of families are cutting back, skipping tacos, meatballs, or burgers, not because they want to, but because they have to. Number 3. Chicken breast. If so, you're not alone. You're part of a shifting tide in American consumption, one that says more than numbers ever could. Remember when boneless, skinless chicken breasts, brands like Tyson or Perdue, were a reliable staple in your weekly grocery haul? They were a quiet reassurance. At least there was still one go-to meat you could count on for being affordable and easy to cook. But in June 2025, numbers from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics showed the average price for boneless, skinless chicken breast hitting $4.24 per pound, climbing month after month from $4.08 at the start of the year to $4.18 and now to $4.24. On paper, those changes look small. In your weekly budget, they add up fast. And it's not just retail prices. Wholesale chicken breast now costs $1.91 per pound, nearly double the $0.93 from the same time last year. Shoppers are paying more for what was once the most dependable protein. Even whole bird prices have jumped to record highs, averaging $2.09 per pound, throwing off entire meal plans. What's breaking the system? It's not just tariffs. In 2025, an avian flu outbreak reduced the number of healthy birds available for slaughter. While it wasn't as catastrophic as past outbreaks, it still triggered costly biosecurity measures and culling requirements. Production hasn't fully rebounded. Flock sizes cut back during the crisis haven't recovered, and with feed prices climbing, wholesale costs are still rising. And it's not only chicken breasts. Chicken thighs, once the cheaper, juicier swap, have risen above $3 per pound. Drumsticks, the family barbecue favorite, now cost nearly as much as thighs, making them less of a bargain. Chicken wings, which already saw massive price jumps during the pandemic, are creeping back toward all-time highs. Even whole chickens, long considered the most cost-effective way to feed a family, have seen record spikes, erasing their budget-friendly reputation. Here's the bigger picture. Poultry is just one section of a grocery aisle under siege. Pork chops, once a dependable alternative, are climbing steadily. Bacon's seen double-digit price jumps in 6 months. Steaks, from ribeye to sirloin, are now rare indulgences. Even processed meats like sausages and deli slices are getting more expensive, leaving fewer affordable swaps for families trying to stretch their grocery money. When every aisle has gone up, substitutions start feeling pointless. And that's the reality millions of Americans face each time they push a cart through the store.